This is Principles of Management, and the session is on understanding individual behavior. One of the characteristics of managers is that they have to have some degree of emotional intelligence. They have to understand people and what motivates them, to interpret their behavior and to use their talents effectively. A prerequisite for understanding other people is to have a firm understanding of oneself. When we spoke about the characteristics of managers, one of the key ones was self-confidence, which is a general assurance in one's own ideas, judgments, capabilities. One of the critical dimensions of self-confidence is self-efficacy, which is a belief in one's own ability to accomplish things. In order for a person to know what it is that he or she is capable of accomplishing, he or she has to know his or her own strengths and weaknesses, as well as their personality traits, beliefs, emotions, attitudes, worldview, and a good place to begin is with a self-assessment. When assessing employees, there are two traits that are particularly significant to the manager: job satisfaction and organizational commitment, because these are predictors of how engaged a person is going to be in his or her work. Job satisfaction is exactly what the term implies. It is the degree to which a person finds fulfillment in his or her job, a topic we're going to discuss more fully when we consider work motivation. Organizational commitment is simply loyalty to an organization, identification with its goals and purposes, and a desire to contribute to it. People who are committed to organizations tend to be more helpful to their colleagues. They put in extra effort. They look for ways to improve things. Another problem arises in that there are only 24 hours in a day. If a person wants to be committed to an organization and is willing to put in extra effort and extra hours to make the organization succeed, it comes at the expense, at least in terms of time, of something else. The most frequently mentioned thing that is sacrificed is family time, and it produces an uncomfortable thing called cognitive dissonance, a feeling of discomfort that results from holding two conflicting beliefs or priorities. When there is a discrepancy between these priorities and behaviors, something has to change in order to eliminate or reduce the dissonance. Another aspect of behavior stems from our perceptive abilities. The cognitive processes that people use to select, organize, and interpret data they collect from their environments. It's a three-step process. People see, hear, taste, touch, or smell things. They select the sensory perception they want to process, and they put it into a meaningful pattern so that they can respond to it. Now, errors can occur in any part of this process. We are also limited in our perceptive abilities. We see and hear things within certain spectrums of light and sound, and with a limited resolution. And so perceptual distortions can occur, which are errors in perceptual judgment. As concerns perceptions of other people, the errors can be negative, as in the case of stereotyping, or positive, as people may grant a halo effect to a person who is performing well in collateral circumstances. Now, in the study of psychology, you will come across and focus on at some point personality and behavior. Managers are concerned about personality traits as they're relevant to an employee's workplace behavior. In psychology, five trait dimensions called the Big Five are especially important. And these are extroversion, how outgoing, sociable, assertive, and comfortable with interpersonal relationships is the person; agreeableness, how good-natured, likable, cooperative, forgiving, understanding, and trusting is the person; conscientiousness, how focused, responsible, dependable, persistent, and achievement-oriented is the person; emotional stability, how calm, enthusiastic, and self-confident is the person; and openness, does the person have a broad range of interests, and is he or she creative, imaginative, willing to consider new ideas and new ways of doing things. These traits put some parameters around the concept of personality, and these help to shape a person's work-related attitudes and behaviors. And on this topic, there are 4 attitudes and behaviors that are of particular interest to managers. One is the locus of control, the degree to which a person feels responsible for what happens in his or her own life and his or her own job. 2 is authoritarianism, the degree to which a person focuses on power, toughness, and obedience. And related to this in a negative way is Machiavellianism, the degree to which a person focuses on the manipulation of other people for personal gain. And finally, 4 is problem-solving styles. Now, problem-solving styles are measured by 2 dimensions: the processes a person uses in gathering information and in evaluating it. People gather information either by working with known facts and hard data, this is called sensation, or by searching for possibilities and solving new problems using abstract concept, called intuitive thinking. People process information either through a thinking process, using judgments on an impersonal analysis and using reason and logic, or on a feeling basis, making decisions that rest on approval from other people. Emotions also enter into this. They're a mental state. The James Lange theory of emotion proposes that emotions occur as a result of physiological reactions to events. According to this theory, you see an external stimulus that leads to a physiological reaction. Your emotional reaction is dependent on how you interpret those physical reactions. For example, suppose you're walking in the woods and you see a bear. You begin to tremble, your heart begins to race. The James Lange theory proposes that you will interpret your physical reactions and conclude that you are frightened. I am trembling, therefore I am afraid. Recent developments in relationship theory suggest that a manager who is in touch with his or her own feelings, as well as the feelings of others, can work better with others than a person lacking this talent. This is referred to as emotional intelligence, and is a function of self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management skills. Now, anyone going through a college education has learned some self-management skills. It's a function of being able to focus, to set goals and objectives, and to have a system for deciding what actions to take and when to take them. Also, anyone going through a college education has experience with stress and stress management. Hopefully, college learning presents challenge stress, a good form of stress that gets people excited to accomplish something, as opposed to threat stress, which works to burn a person out. One other classification that is often mentioned is the difference between type A and type B personalities. Type A pattern includes competitiveness, impatience, and aggressiveness, while type B personalities prefer a more balanced and relaxed lifestyle. Now, how a person approaches these things is a function of 2 things. One is how the person is wired. The second is a function of conscious choices a person makes. Speaking about work-life balance, Jack Welch, former chairperson of GE, once said, "There is no such thing as work-life balance. There are work-life choices. You make them and they have consequences." This statement reads like an admonition to throw oneself into one's work, but it could be read in another way. There are, in fact, real choices. If you are comfortable with and take responsibility for the decisions you make, there is no remaining unresolved conflict. We all choose our own paths. On this, some people opt to take the path of a leadership role, which is the subject of our next session. Have a nice evening.